Hello and welcome back to Big Nostalgia, the podcast where we look at games from our childhood, where they come from, the story of their development, and the story within the game itself. We then talk about the audio and visual design, and if we liked it, does it hold up? We also discuss a game's legacy. Is it well remembered? Did it spawn a million sequels? Or is it an obscure title that we hear little about nowadays? I am Vicky.
I am Phill.
And I'm Nick.
This week, Nick has told me to tell you that we're looking at the best game ever made. Now, that's now canon, as I made you read it aloud. See, you made me. That's right, we're diving into the Johto region of the second generation of Pokemon games, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Without further ado, let's begin. Take it away, Nick.
Thanks, Vicky. As previously mentioned, we are talking about Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. This is like my jam. This came out at like the perfect time for a wee little Nick growing up. It was announced in 1997, originally as Pocket Monsters 2, Gold and Silver. Obviously, they ditched the 2 at some point along the development process. Otherwise, we'd be on something.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Yeah. And then, there was a fair bit of delay and stuff. It was released eventually in Japan on November 21st, 1999 for the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. Then it eventually hit European shelves in April 6th, 2001, so a fair bit later. Both games were re-released on September 22nd, 2017 as virtual console games on the 3DS. And then there was a Crystal version which followed the other two Gen 2 games in the same way Yellow followed Red, Green, Blue. So December 14th, 2000 in Japan for Crystal, and then November 2nd, 2001 for Europe. And then the Virtual Console version came out on January 26th, 2018. All right, going into the plot and game background. So this began development immediately after Red and Green. So it was actually developed exactly the same time as Blue and Yellow, interestingly enough, and there's quite a lot of sort of carryover between them. But yeah, they went straight onto that. Satoshi Tajiri returned as game director. He's the creator of Pokemon. We spoke a lot about him in our Red, Blue, and Yellow episodes as well. As mentioned, it was announced in 1997. And this was at Nintendo Space World Expo Japan. Now, there's a bit, like, every single segment of this, there's kind of like a big story behind. So I'm going to skim over some of it, but I thought this was quite interesting. The demo version was shown. It's now become like an infamous demo version. It was shown with an alternative map to Johto, as we mentioned. This was called Nihon. And you start off in a town called Silent Hill.
Oh.
Wild, right?
That is wild.
Yeah. Completely
Get
nothing
out
to do
of
with... Yeah. Maybe they ditched that version for that reason, I don't know. There was a lot of unused Pokemon designs that was shown off in the demo. So, like, do you know Giraffe-Rig, the Pokemon who made it to Gen 2? He's got a giraffe at the front and a weird little sprite thing going on at the back. But originally, it's a palindromic name. So originally, Giraffe-Rig was just two Giraffe-Rigs back to back, sort of thing. So it kind of made
like Cat Dog.
Yeah, so it kind of made a bit more sense in some ways, but it had a sort of mirrored design. So all of this information was like you couldn't find anywhere. Like you would have been at that World Expo and seen all of that, but then it just kind of like disappeared. No one ever saw anything from that again until in 2018 there was a Nintendo server hack, and I remember that. Exactly. So they released loads of this into the wild, but then it was decoded and published by a team of enthusiasts called Team Space World. It's obviously named after the Space World Expo, and they they published all the assets as finished sprites and everything, so you could see the list of all the random Pokemon and the random locations, the random maps. So all of that stuff is kind of like out in the open now.
Team Space World definitely sounds like a Pokemon like villain group.
I know.
Team Rocket, move out of the way.
Team Space World blasting off again.
Well, wasn't one of the latest one Team Star anyway? So it's all about the solar system and rockets and yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, maybe there was a bit. Maybe Nintendo published a bit of a dig about them. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
next game you've got Team Space World, and you're actually like the aim of the game is to protect copyright.
That would be a twist.
They're not trying to like flood the world anymore, or like
Yeah.
they're not a criminal organisation. They're actually leaking corporate IP, and you have to stop them.
Yeah, that would be very Nintendo, actually. That checks out. So then, obviously, there were a lot of big changes. So it was delayed and delayed again. So in 1999, it eventually came out. So we got Johto instead of Nihon. We got, so obviously, new starter locations. We got a very much overhauled final lineup of Pokemon, which, by the way, rose to 251 from the original's 151. So we got 100 new Pokemon. I think they developed something like 300 or something, and they had to like really trim it down to fit on the final thing. And then we switched from colours to gold and silver were chosen as the names. So the producer Tsunekazu Ishihara suggested that gold and silver were more like material, precious things than colours. So they kind of wanted to sort of give it that deluxe feeling, so to say. The games have 8 megabits on them, so that's about 1 megabyte of memory. Despite all the advancements they made in map size, number of Pokemon, and enhanced graphics. Plus, obviously, the addition of color as well, which was a pretty big. So you could play it on the Game Boy, or you could play it on the Game Boy Color. And obviously, depending on if you just play it on a Game Boy, you just don't get all the beautiful new colors that they added and everything like that. But we'll talk a bit about that later on. Story-wise, so. I mean, it's Pokemon. It's pretty much the same story. You spawn into your little town and you run an errand for an old prof. So you get the choice again. You run an errand for this guy and he gives you a reward for your efforts, and you either this time get a Chikorita, a Cyndaquil, or a Totodile. That's your starter Pokemon. You also get a rival in the same as the red, blue, and yellow and green games. This time. It's not the son of Professor Oak or whatever. It's this time it's a thief who steals a Pokemon from the lab, and you get to name him again, just like red, green, blue, yellow. So let's just say his name is. You can bleep that out if you like, Phil.
So I don't know if we covered this the first time we did Pokemon games, but what is your guys' chosen first Pokemon type? Because I always start with a fire. I do like a fire.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
I know it makes the first level ever so easy because it's normally grass. Fires are less likely to come up in the grass world. So if you are a grass type Pokemon or water type Pokemon, the first world is a lot more challenging. I read somewhere that generally if you want a harder experience, you choose water because it's weak against grass.
I think it depends on your gen because in Gen 1... it was you're giving yourself the most work choosing the fire Pokemon.
Okay.
Because the first gym was rock.
Yeah.
So rock was weak to water.
Yeah.
However, in Gen 1, there was a lot less fire Pokemon than water and grass Pokemon. So if you didn't take Charmander, your chance to get a fire Pokemon was...
limited.
Growlithe or Vulpix, really?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I always went fire, so what did you guys do?
I was so in the first gen, I was a Pokemon Yellow kid. I didn't have red or blue, so I went Pikachu because that's the choice you get.
I went for the fourth choice.
Yeah,
actually, there's a secret Pokeball.
And then in Gen 2, I think I beat the game at least twice. So I did Cyndaquil and I did Totodile because those guys are just adorable. So basically, I would always try and I never really went for the leafy guys. No particular bias, but yeah, those were what I went for. What about you guys?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the first gym is flying in Gen 2. But no, I think the last time I played it, because I don't remember the time I played it before that, which was on the 3DS with the re-release, I had Totodile. I went for the water.
Nice. I like Totodile.
Yeah, I think it's a cool design. I don't tend to do it by type. I tend to do it like gen by gen.
Yes.
Like just based on who I think. And
Looks cool.
I try not to, with the modern games, look up their evolutions and just try and like pick the one I think might look cool later.
Go with
Oh my
vibe.
god, yeah, because I decided in one of the latest games I went for the cat and I called him Satan because why not? And then he turned into like this beef.
Is that Incineroar?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was just like, oh my god. Like, I feel like I've chosen this perfectly, but this still feels a bit overwhelming. Like, you've got this cute little cat and then it's just like a beef. I've just come back from the gym and I'm ready for weights. Like, kind of like cat thing. It's going to eat your head.
That was great, wasn't it? You just see
was
them play.
great.
You see it play out. You don't know how they're going to look, and then suddenly you get this like Totodile's evolution. Croconaut or something was like an absolute beefcake.
Yeah, he's a unit, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, if I had a magic carp, and obviously we didn't have the technology we do, like, you would never have guessed Gyarados being the evolution of Magikarp, would you?
No, exactly.
So, I've got this fish and it flaps around and holy crap, now it's a dragon. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, whoa. So yeah.
Holy
I just thought I'd
carp.
ask. Holy carp. Boo!
So after doing all this at the lab, you get a Pokemon egg to study, which is quite an interesting new addition. You go and battle your gym leaders. You do all the same sort of stuff. You've battled Team Rocket again, and there's quite like a couple of cool plots you get to do with Team Rocket this time. There's one particularly dark one involving like a poaching sort of plot line where they go and take Slowpoke's tails off and sell them or something like that.
Oh my god.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
And then they've infiltrated like a big city radio tower as well, which is quite cool because there's loads of like key cards you get along the way by doing certain bits. As you're sort of going along, you encounter a shiny Pokemon for the first time. You see a red Gyarados, which is just cool. We were talking about Gyarados a second ago. He's just a cool Pokemon.
He's just a cool Pokemon. It feels like Magikarp's like cool older brother. Like, I like doing stuff and I'm just a kid, and then it's just like, boof, I'm the older brother, I've been to university and I've done this and this, like,
Are you
I've
picking
come
on
back
my
and I'm
brother?
so cool.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
some of them evolutions just, these days, evolutions in Pokemon, because obviously they're still developing Pokemon, but they're becoming more generic. It's very much, you can see the development. It's lovely sometimes seeing a Pokemon when their first bit has no relevance, like Dragonite. You've got this like skinny little lizard sort of blue thing, and then he just bulks out in the third evolution and it's just like, boom, I'm a dragon now. Like, I like that on the earlier evolutions.
I think it's a good way to introduce the concept of shinies as well.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah.
particularly Gyarados is from Gen 1.
Yes.
And like there's a good chance you'd have seen it and you'll be like, Gyarados is blue.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you would have, because I guess back then maybe you just played the black and white version.
Well, no, like, the original
Gyarados
games
is black and white.
the original games were pretty much just in black and white. It was only yellow, I think, that did have that advantage of the Game Boy Color. But yeah, no, it's really cool. So yeah, once you've sort of encountered and dealt with Team Rocket, you either get a Rainbow Wing or a Silver Wing, which enables you to counter the first legendary Pokemon of the series.
Ooh.
So you got, they're on the box art, like it's not much of a surprise. So you got Ho-oh and Lugia, who are the two, depending on which game you pick. There's a reason for the sort of differentiation here. Shigeru Miyamoto suggested the idea of splitting these games in the first place. This is a quote I pulled from an interview. He says, I didn't suggest splitting the games because it would allow us to sell more copies of the same thing. I just thought it would be more fun for the players if, say, there were 3 siblings and they all owned something unique. That way they'd be able to communicate. I didn't want to release separate versions of the games just to increase marketability.
That's quite cute.
I think that's fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't hamper your experience of the game. It just kind of like you say, it's
you still get a full experience. It's just the only people it's really gonna bother is those diehards that want every single Pokemon.
Yeah, and there's still ways of doing it through the trade cables and stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to buy a second copy. You just have to find someone with the inverse of what you've got.
That's it, yeah. So then, you beat the rest of the gym leaders and the Elite Four, similar to Red, Green, Blue, Yellow. And then the credits roll, and that's the end, ? We'll come back to that later on. So character-wise, this time you're canonically called Ethan, though again, you can choose a name, just like your rival. You've got Professor Elm this time, but Professor Oak does make a few little, like, Marvel-esque cameos sort of throughout.
I still exist. I'm still here.
I'm putting a team together.
Pretty much, yeah. So he's banging on about Pokedexes. There's also a radio station that plays. That you get given. That's one of the items I'll talk about in a bit, but you hear Oak do a little show on that, which is pretty cool. Your rival is canonically called Silver, but again, you can name him what you want. As mentioned, there are 100 new Pokemon, including our first legendary Pokemon, Ho-oh and Lugia, and then there's some legendary dogs out there as well, Entei, Suicune, and Raikou. And again, we'll explain about how they appear and stuff a bit later on to do with the game's design. You can also breed Pokemon for the first time. There's daycare centres where you get hatch eggs and stuff like that. So you can breed 2 Pikachus to get a Pichu. And again, this is like before online as well. So you just stick 2 Pokemon in daycare. You're just kind of hoping for the best at this point. But this is how you complete your Pokedex.
Yeah, I was going to say, as a kid as well, and they're like, you don't really understand the mechanics of the breeding either. You just come back and there's an egg and you're like, huh? What?
Yeah.
But also, like, being able to capture 2 Pikachus as well, because I'm guessing there's a certain skill, like knowing where to find them and knowing how to, like, and being successful in your capture and getting 2 of the same Pokemon. In certain games, is very easy, and in certain games, depending on the Pokemon, can be incredible. Freaking Abras, man! Like, as soon as you go to attack them, it's just, I've teleported, and you're just like, great, where are you? Get back here.
Yeah,
that's
it.
I suppose if you didn't know as well, you'd have to have conveniently picked 2 Pokemon, because this is the first one with gendered Pokemon as well.
Yeah. So you had to also get boys and girls to make that to get an egg out of that as well. No IVF or surrogacy in these games, unfortunately. But yeah, you can breed 2 Pikachus to get a Pichu. You breed 2 Electabuzzes to get Elekid. You can breed 2 Clefairies and you get a Cleffa. Breed 2 Jiggly... Sorry, some of these names, man. Breed 2 Jigglypuffs, you get an Igglypuff. No, an Igglybuff, sorry. Breed 2 Magmars, you get a Magby. Breed a Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee with a Ditto, and you get a Tyrogue. Breed a Clefairy with a Snubble to get another Snubble. Breed a Marill with a Jigglypuff to get an Igglypuff. Breed a Gyarados with a red Gyarados to get a shiny Magikarp. Wow.
Huh.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's really cool stuff. Bosses, you got a new lineup of gym leaders. You got Faulkner. I'll cover locations in this as well, because you got Faulkner, who's the gym leader of Violet City. You got Bugsy, who's the gym leader of Azalea Town. You got Whitney, who's the gym leader of Goldenrod City. That's a great city. I love Goldenrod. You got Morty, who's the gym leader at Ecruteak City. You got Chuck, who's the gym leader at Cianwood City.
Chuck.
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 I love the Americanizations of these,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Chuck. I'm the gym leader.
Then you got Jasmine, who runs Olivine City's gym, Price from Mahogany Town, and Claire for Blackthorn City. And then in the Elite Four, you've got Will, Koga, Bruno, Karen, and Lance.
Karen? There's an elite Karen, is there?
There's an elite Karen, yeah.
There's an elite Karen before the days of Karen. She used to be elite. And
the most difficult, the most difficult of boss battles. Items, there's a lot. I'm not going to read them all out, but like some of the big ones that stood out to me. You get a bicycle in this game. You get stuff like you get all sorts of like little Easter eggs around. Like you get a dragon scale, which will evolve your certain Pokemon. You get you get the silver wing or the rainbow wing, which will, depending on which game you get, will give you the option for your legendary Pokemon. You get the mystery egg at the beginning, which hatches a Togepi. You get, what else do you get? Oh, you get a radio card for listening to Professor Oak's radio station. And then there's like a train ticket, an SS ticket you can get, and a boat ticket as well, but we'll come to that later, because that's a really cool...
Is this one where you get a mobile as well? Or is that only in the remake you get to like exchange numbers with people?
Let me have a look. I don't...
That might have been a Soul Silver thing.
There might have been a Soul Silver. Yeah, I can't see it on here, but yeah, there's every chance that could have been. Yeah, I think that might have come later, maybe Gen 3.
Yeah.
Design. Let's talk about that. So yeah, utilise the Game Boy It utilised Game Boy.
Game Boy.
You can leave that in if you want. Utilised the Game Boy Color more than the first generation. So in yellow, they just kind of like added a bit of a colour splash across certain cities, which I did mention I actually really liked because it kind of gives each city...
It was just like a tint, wasn't it? Almost like a filter.
Yeah, exactly. It did help differentiate your cities. It was like a very basic colour grade. But then this time, oh my god, you get like multiple like multicoloured sprites, vivid towns, the colours really pop, the characters really pop. It's so good looking. They've really chosen like there's a lot of intricacy to like which shade of green you pick for your trees. But you know, they look so good in this game. Moving on. Creator Satoshi Tajiri noted he ran a company-wide popularity vote to decide on some of the new features for this generation. So from this, several things were added, like there's an in-universe magazine that you can see on bookshelves, which will tell you more information about certain Pokemon. And then one of the big ones they added as well was a day and night cycle, as well as a real-time clock. So that would actually affect the gameplay as well, because it really did change which Pokemon you see, which music plays. It could trigger certain like timed events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you could visit one location at day, nothing would happen. You visit back at night, and like that would kick off like the narrative. There's really cool stuff like that built into it. So that's how, like, well, actually there was the other thing with the legendary dogs, Entei and all that as well. They would like sort of like randomly spawn around the map as well, but you could maybe figure it out if you like looked at your clock and compared. I don't know, there's just really cool ways of playing this game, and I just thought that was such a neat way of doing it. Producer Tsunekazu Ishihara, a quote in an interview said, "We designed Gold and Silver to be compatible with Red, Blue and Yellow, and making sure all the elements in all versions work together was a challenge. The debugging process was also tough." But that's really cool. You can, if you're missing Pokemon in your Pokedex, you can trade from your previous game and stuff like that. It's just like
that's a really lovely added extra, because definitely games of that generation, they didn't really think about the games that came before. It was more like the next thing. So it's nice to have that element, that callback.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, callback, and yeah, just that if you really want to be a completionist with your Pokedex, and like, yeah.
Well, they keep challenging, don't they? They keep saying you gotta catch them all. They're literally teasing you sometimes. Gotta catch them all. Do it.
But even if you become attached to your like team from Red, you can like bring them with you. You like move them across. To share another adventure together.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, that's a really good point as well. It's a really like, I think it's such an interesting way of like completing a game. Like it's so unrepetitive. Like some creatures are legendary and will spawn at certain points. Some hatch from an egg. Some you have to like put in daycare. Some you have to trade over from your old game. I just think like that's absolute mileage from your however much it used to cost back then, like 15 quid or something for a video game like that.
It was definitely more than that.
In 1999, was it really?
Yeah, it was still like, I think like 20, 30 quid has been like, was like the standard for like, because obviously there's the extra cost of producing the actual
that's very true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Especially because I think these ones, because of the day-night cycle, had to have a little battery inside them, didn't they? That's how it kept the clock going, was because they had it was like a very special cartridge, basically.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, moving on to music, just talk briefly about this. So, Junichi Masuda, who composed the music from the first game, he stepped down from composing the music for this game because he went on to become a programmer and game director for Pokemon, and I think still works there to this day. Nice. So, but they kept a lot of the same sort of original compositions and stuff bringing into this one, and they brought in Go Ikinoza. Yeah, so a lot of the new and old motifs were utilised. According to thegamer.com, this is an interview with Ikinoza. So most of the music for Gen 2 was created with an Amiga computer, converted to MIDI, and then reconverted to the game's music format. Don't know what that means, but sounds quite cool.
It does sound quite cool.
There you go.
Sounds complicated.
It does sound complicated.
Sounds technical.
That's it. Right. Okay, I've stalled on this for long enough. Here's the big reveal. So, do you want to know the mind-blowing thing about these games?
Would you like a drum roll?
Please. Thank you.
I'm not sure how that's going to sound in the audio, so I'm going to go, maybe I'll just add one in.
So why this game is the best game ever made? Because after the credits roll, you get to play in Kanto.
Ooh.
So you've beaten the Elite Four, and then you get to sail across the ocean, and you discover this land, and there's a signpost on it which says, this is all after the credits as well, by the way, so you think you've beaten the game. And again, pre-knowing this as common knowledge. Not a lot of internet. There's some internet, but not very much internet.
Yeah.
So you sail up, you're on Kanto, and then you get to do it all again.
Yay! But you've got your original Pokemon that you've brought across with you.
You've got your Pokemon, and then you go and battle. You've got Brock at Pewter City. You've got Misty at Cerulean City. You've got Lieutenant Surge at Vermilion City. You've got Erika at Celadon City. You've got Janine at Fuchsia City. You've got Sabrina at Saffron City. You've got Blaine at Cinnabar Island. And then you've got Blue from the first game. Remember that?
Yeah.
As the new gym leader of Viridian City.
So it's like 2 games in one, really, isn't it?
Exactly, it's 2 games in 1. But then there's more. Hang on. Yeah. So.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. So now you've got 16 gym badges. And then you can go, and then Professor Oak comes up and he says, "Good fucking job, mate. You've got 16 gym badges. You've absolutely smashed this. You've hit the brief.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. So
he says, "Good job, mate." He hands me a Guinness.
Fucking brill, mate. Get it.
And then you are let into a secret area on Mount Silver, where the final boss of the game is Red.
Bum, bum, bum.
So you battle the protagonist from the game you've already played. How
Oh my
cool is
God!
that?
I think that's so cool.
That is
That's
so
very
cool. I don't think I've ever had my mind blown like that since that.
So as a kid, when you played this, was it obvious enough after the credits to keep going? Were you able to do it all?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I think it might spit you out into the body next to the body of water or something.
Yeah.
At the back of the Elite Four, so then you go out to the water, you hit surf with your Lapras or whatever you've got, and then you're like, oh,
Lapras.
this is interesting. The game's ended, and then you just keep going right, and then
Where am I going?
And then you hit land. And you're like,
oh my God.
okay, and this cool little secret area. I wonder how. I'm not expecting a lot here. And then it just says, "Welcome to bloody Kanto." Hello. So
You know what it's making me think of is Red Dead Redemption, the second one, where you have the credits and you think you've done it all, and then you come back as one of the other players.
well, that's fun.
And then you keep on, and then it's just like a separate game. And The Last of Us as well, and Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
There's a whole big section, and then you play as a completely different character, and it's like another game, and you're just like, oh, it keeps going. I thought it was just a little thing, and then this is just, I was only halfway through. What the hell?
That's so cool. It really does feel like good bang for your buck, doesn't it? When the credits roll,
Yeah.
but then you've got more. So you battle Red. He's got a pretty stacked lineup of Pikachu, Espeon, Snorlax, Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise.
Well, he's got all the starters.
He's got all
from
the stars.
Gen 1.
He is a real MVP, and it's genuinely a very tough battle to get through.
He's from the canon version of Gen 1.
Yes.
Where actually, Red just takes all of Professor Oak's Pokemon.
But yeah, that's such a great twist. And then having both regions. So I mentioned earlier you get a boat ticket and a train ticket, so you can actually just hop between the 2 regions via like train or boat, which is really cool as well. It just makes it feel so expansive.
It feels like such a big map for such an early game.
Yeah, that's one megabyte.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Because we're used to, with our modern games, having quite big maps. I'm thinking like Breath of the Wild, I'm thinking that sort of style. But for those days, that was a substantial, to have basically 2 games in one, 2 areas, like lands in one.
Yeah.
Now, that's an extensive map for a Game Boy Color game.
My phone has 128,000 megabytes, so why can't I battle myself in Kanto on it?
That's what you've been doing wrong, phone.
You should really be having like 256 Pokemon regions for that kind of space. 256,000.
Didn't we mention like a Nintendo phone in one of these? Like that would have been perfect. A Nintendo phone would have had. You would have had Kanto region.
Having said that, I might not have a career in that alternative timeline. So
it's probably in your notes about like how they managed it, like to fit that much on the little cartridge, was it?
I'll tell you what, Phil, just in case it's not in my notes, why don't you tell us a little bit about how they managed it?
That's very kind.
No worries.
It was actually the achievement of the person who would then go on to be president of Nintendo Japan, Satoru Iwata, who at the time was working at HAL Labs, and actually by himself he worked out this new way of data compression that allowed them to fit so much onto Pokemon Gen 2.
Wow.
So it's one of those, like, you know, he was a programmer, and like he was a very skilled programmer, and later on he ran Nintendo for 10, 15 years, I think.
That's, staggering.
Wow.
I should have a shrine to that man because, what an achievement. Anyway, I'll skip over my next section, which was how they managed to fit all of that into that.
Sorry, have I stolen your thunder there?
Yeah. No, don't worry. Yeah. Anyway, should we talk quirks?
Always.
So there's not many, actually. There was a bug that carried over from the game code from Pokemon Red, Green and Blue. So you can fish on land in the Cerulean City gym. Curiously, they fixed that in Yellow. But again, because these games were sort of developed in tandem with Yellow, the same issue happened in Gold and Silver. But then they fixed it again in Crystal, which I thought was quite interesting. So some text appears with Japanese quotation marks in international versions of the game. And again, this was fixed in Crystal. There's an NPC with a very amusing name called Fire Breather Dick. And that's not the bug itself, but when you do defeat him, there is a bug that occurs where his sprite on screen will turn black and white until you walk off screen and then walk on again, interestingly. Crystal is the first game to give you a choice between a boy or a girl when you start the game. So Chris, with a K, is our first canonical female protagonist in the Pokemon games.
Nice.
Comes from this generation. Interestingly, in the remakes, they don't use Chris as the female pick on when you start the game. Don't really know why, but that's an interesting one.
I think it's because are they more based on the designs from the anime? I think maybe.
Maybe.
I've not played too much Heart Gold, Soul Silver, so I'm just trying to rack my brain from the gameplay I've seen.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to pick it up again soon, though, definitely. There's a Johto Safari Zone in the game's code, which you can access via either a glitch or just by typing in like a walk through walls cheat code or whatever. There's no Pokemon in there, though, interestingly, but they did design...
Probably why they didn't include it in the game.
Very good. But interestingly, they added that to the remakes. Speaking of which... Let's talk about Legacy and our opinions. So, Heart Gold and Soul Silver were released on the Nintendo DS in Japan in 2009, then internationally in 2010. As mentioned, the original games were released on the 3DS Virtual Console in 2018. The reception of the original games was great. IGN rated them a 10 out of 10 and quoted masterpiece. Game rankings, between the three versions of it, they've got an average score of about 90%. And sales exceeded 23 million units.
Wow.
So yeah, big success critically and commercially. And come on, it's a good game, isn't it?
So I'm going to say something that might make you a bit upset.
Okay. And let me just take my headphones out.
I don't think I've actually played it. Rude. I don't think I've actually played it.
Will you play it now?
I will.
I've ruined the best twist, but
That's absolutely fine because I'm not sure. I mean, you'd be on the harbour, so you'd be like, "Oh, I can walk around. Let's explore." But no, I'm cool with that twist being ruined. I mean, It is an old game now, so if you weren't gonna ruin it, someone else was. But I was a red girl. I played the red one, and then I didn't have. I had a Game Boy Color, but then I didn't have a Game Boy Advance, and I kind of missed a couple of Pokemon games and all of that. And then the next one along, I think, was, which is quite a bit along, is Moon. I've definitely played Moon.
right.
You played Black and White, which came before Moon.
Did they?
Yeah,
Did I?
Black and White were on the DS.
Oh, were they?
Moon was on the 3DS.
There you go.
Yeah. But it's definitely
Vicky,
one that
you own one of the Gen 4 games. You own, like, Diamond, don't you?
Do I? I don't think I do.
You lent it to me.
Did I? Did you ever give it back?
That's a good question. Maybe not.
I don't remember playing this game.
There you go.
Yeah, but I would very much like to check it out, and it does sound a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you can pick it up, it's good. And if you can pick up the non-remakes, they're just, I think, beautiful to look at.
If I can pick it up, or if Philip can give it back to me, apparently.
No, you've definitely not played these ones, but you've played one before Moon. That's what my point was.
Oh, I see. I thought you said that I played these ones, because I swear I hadn't played these ones.
Oh, there you go.
But I very much like to. I do like the Pokemon series. I like the Pokemon games. I like the setup. It's a very enjoyable storylines and process and everything. So, and your love of it is definitely shining through. How about you, Phil? Do you remember playing these?
I tell you what, when I give you back Pokemon, I want to say Pearl that you lent.
Oh, Pearl. Yeah, that's the one I played. Yeah. That sounds a bit better than Black and White.
Which is Gen 4, so that's 2 games after this one.
Okay.
I will also
Not
lend
too
you
bad
my
then.
3DS, where I've got the re-release of the original on my 3DS downloaded.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah, deal. Because that's my main experience with it. Like, I think maybe I played it a bit playing someone else's.
Right.
But it wasn't until you and I got gold and silver for the 3DS that I played through pretty much all of it on 3DS instead.
Nice.
And yeah, it's just so much to do.
Yeah. It's great.
You know, I wish any other future Pokemon game would include a past region as a secret. Like, I've been chasing that high ever since.
That is such a cool concept.
Yeah. I've also, I do feel like this is kind of like when people ask me about like the sort of difference between like when they started shooting movies on digital as opposed to film. This kind of feels like the last Pokemon game on film in a way.
Yeah.
Well, because like from the Game Boy Advance ones, they're just so much more.
They're so much more detailed, but like I feel like that does sometimes more detail does wash out a load of like the design sometimes.
And they still have the simplistic sort of selection of Pokemon. I do feel that these days, the amount of Pokemon you have and the designs you have, I think I might have mentioned it, the last Pokemon game we chatted about, it's just so many. Some of them literally look like a pile of keys or like dirt or washing. I know you had like Grimer, but you did have like Charmander and the whole original 3. And
Yeah.
you had such imagination, and then these days it's like you're basically a Yorkshire Terrier.
Yeah.
With a Pokemon name.
That's it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah. And to me, this one over even red, blue, and green and yellow, like this one stands out as the sweet spot to me. But I'm very much aware that my glasses are so rose tinted. Like I'm not being able to make a fair opinion on this. But like it's that sweet spot of like hasn't quite. It's less janky than like the first gen. But it's before it gets super complicated and convoluted as well. But I don't know, maybe I need to play the next ones, which I think were Ruby and Sapphire?
Ruby and Sapphire were Gen 3, yeah.
Gen 3, because that one was... Maybe I even... No, I think I did have Fire Red. No. Oh, no, then Fire Red and Leaf Green came out after those, right?
In Gen... They were part of Gen 3 because they were the first remakes.
Interesting, yeah. So then there felt like a big void between that and Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah, because the Game Boy Advance only got those games, didn't they?
Right, and then it was DS.
Whereas obviously, well, I suppose you say like the Game Boy just got one Gen 2 if you count the Japanese release. Game Boy Color got like the second gen. Game Boy Advance got the third. But then I think on DS you had Pearl, Diamond Pearl, Black and White 2, like all on the same thing. That's when like they really started releasing lots of Pokemon gens.
Yeah. So maybe they should. Do they do staggered release still? Because I feel like that would possibly help if they slowed down the rate at which we get the games, and maybe just if they do want to fill a gap in between, they could just do like a staggered special edition or something. I feel like that's quite
a Pokemon Go these days.
Yeah.
Well, they've not done a third version now for a long time. I don't think since
Emerald.
Yeah, I was gonna. No, well, Emerald was Gen 3, wasn't it? It's the one that was for Platinum. Was the last for Gen 4,
Right.
because then for Black and White, they made Black and White 2, so they actually made just full-blown sequels.
Oh, okay.
Then Sun and Moon was Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Wow.
Didn't you have X and Y as well? Is that
Yes,
past Moon?
I mean, yeah, technically we're now getting Pokemon ZA, which is in the same region as X and Y, but it's a whole other thing.
It's a whole other thing.
Because at the time, people were like, are we going to get Pokemon Z? But no. So, that was the second gen of Pokemon games, consisting of Gold, Silver, and Crystal. This is the final of our 12 new episodes of Big Nostalgia Season 4. So if you've missed any of them, we've got a full playlist on our channel where you can revisit some of our choice games from the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. The next video out will be the traditional top 10 of the season. I say the next video because I don't know, it might be next week, might be next month. As of time of recording, we haven't written it yet, so we'll have to see. So yeah, join us for that to see how we rank all these games alongside each other. But yeah, no, I hope you've enjoyed this season of Big Nostalgia. It's been fun to do something a little bit different, to go from console to handheld. Let us know your favourite game. Let us know if you agree with Nick that Pokemon Gen 2 is the best game ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'll see you for the top 10, which should be out soon. But until then, I've been Phill.
I've been Vicky.
And I've been Nick.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Take
Bye.
care.
Peace. And you get to name him again, just like red, green, blue, yellow. So let's just say his name is Expletive. You can bleep that out if you like, Phill.